back and watch his profile frame. This morning we have the Lagos State Commander of the NDLEA, that's the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. He is the state commander, he's a commander of narcotics, and he is a man that we all know that is an Enugu man from Enugu State, and he is no other person than Barrister Kalis Alumona. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
good morning,
sir.
Nigeria.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Good to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to have you here, right here, live in our studio this morning. All right, we're talking about, June 26th is the day that the world as a whole celebrate International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. And the theme this year is something very, very important, addressing drug challenges in health and humanitarian crisis. Drugs, we know, is something that affects, like I said in my intro, it affects people, and it goes on for a lifetime. How far, the journey so far? How far?
Good morning again, Nigeria.
In Lagos and in Nigeria as a whole.
Okay. Good morning again, Nigerians and viewers of this very important program. I have been watching Morning Ride for as much as I can remember, because the issues discussed there are germane and the presentations are very interesting, as you can see this morning.
Thank you, sir.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, we came into being in 1990 via a decree number 89, which has now been converted to Cap 30 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004. The whole mandate of the agency is precipitated by the convention which the UN signed in 1988, demanding that nations should take full charge of drug war, drug abuse prevention, and so on and so forth, because it had become a very worrisome process. And since that 1990, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has been trying to meet up with their mandate. And the core mandates are very simple, very wide. The first is drug supply reduction, which is the issue of mopping up all the drugs in the streets, arresting traffickers, and jailing them. Making sure that drug is not freely accessible. Then the second one is drug demand reduction. We carry out sensitization, we carry out informative and educative programs and campaigns so that people will know what is drugs, how does it affect you, what is the socio-economic and political implications, what are the consequences if you abuse drug or traffic in drugs. So that is just the basic of what we do. Then every year, the United Nations has set aside June 26th to celebrate and commemorate the agreement by Committee of Nations to ensure that every nation is on its feet to have this particular issue tackled to the root, because it's a very dangerous precedent.
Okay.
Let me quickly, ask this. I've been, as you're, explaining all the while, I was just listening. There's something I was trying to find out, but which I didn't get. You've been using drug, part of, that's why you are set up and your mandate. When we talk about drug here, are we talking about the paracetamol and flagyl we get at
No. Those are over-the-counter drugs, which you can buy under prescription, and then either misuse it or abuse it. Now, if you are told to take 3 paracetamol and you are taking 10, you are misusing it. If you go to buy what you are not told to buy, self-medication, sometimes it's misuse of those drugs. But the one we're talking of is the use of hard drugs, either prohibited or under control. Now,
sorry. Yes. In my intro, I talked about cocaine. I talked about tramadol. But we know that those are the extremes. There are some drugs, because I know that sometime recently, some drugs that are even supposedly to be, they're supposed to be cough syrup.
Medicaments.
Yes. The misuse has forced the government to put a ban on such drugs. So, in such a case, and what if a patient actually have to make use of that drug? What happens?
All right. I will start by telling you what drugs really mean. Yeah, any substance you take that can alter your mood or change your manner of behavior or change the psychological and physiological being of yourself. Take, for example, if you take paracetamol and you're having headache, it affects your brain, your everything, and you get well. So it's a drug. But when we talk about hard drugs, it attacks your central nervous system, destabilizes you in such a way that you will be seeing sound and you'll be hearing colors.
I like that. Seeing sounds and hearing colors.
Hallucination.
Yes, everything to you becomes the opposite. You are seeing it from a different angle. So when you are telling the person this, he's thinking you are the one who is abnormal. So now, there are several drugs that they take: cocaine, tramadol. Even tramadol is supposed to be used for medication.
Yes.
So cocaine, ephedrine, heroin. Now we have methamphetamine, the one we call ice, which is a mixture of ephedrine and so many other chemicals. You have cannabis sativa. This is the one that is mostly grown in Nigeria. And presently, we are receiving a large chunk of it from the western coast that are coming into Lagos, especially in big boats and big. So, the issue of codeine is a prohibited material.
Yeah, that was where I was.
Yes. Codeine is prohibited. So when you put it into cough syrup, normally it should come under prescription for you to be able to use it.
Yes.
Now, young men and some elderly ones will use this particular cough syrup with codeine in order to get the high they are looking for. They will take more than 3, 4, 5, 6 bottles.
And overdose now.
Yes. So they are abusing that. And because we have seen, like in Kano, over 3 million were found to be using this tramadol and codeine.
Yes.
That was why the government stood its ground. And that's why we are prosecuting people who dispense with this without prescription. Be you a pharmacist, be you a medical doctor, if you are dispensing it without prescription, then you will be under the radar.
So let me and as a person and the viewers get you right now. Like the codeine we are talking about, I know a 1001 cough syrups. You have the ordinary one. You have the one yes. You have some with codeine, and I know that there are some specific patients that needs that one with codeine. So are you saying that it is not outrightly, banned?
Yes,
but must be. Now you have talked about we have people from maybe border countries bringing in chunks of all of these drugs into Nigeria, and we know that Lagos State is a place that is the first bus stop most of the times before it gets into Nigeria. My question now is, what is your major challenge about combating this illicit trafficking of drugs? Is it the demand or the supply? And what I mean by this is that, people are so much addicted, to the use, and they go to any length to get it. And, they are determined to get it. What is your major challenge? Is it from the suppliers or from those that are really consuming it?
I will answer it in a holistic manner.
Okay.
Both of them are challenges.
Okay.
I remember my chairman, chief executive, His Excellency Brigadier General Abuba Marwa, retired OFR. When he came on board, he told us, read the streets. And we must say
he's doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
He's been my man anytime, any day.
He is the motivating factor in everything we do. We have been there. We have been doing it. But now we're doing it as a humanitarian issue. Because he has made us to realize that the battle we're fighting is not just to conquer some people, but to conquer adverse effects on the humanity. And that is why the theme of this year's addressing drug challenges in health and humanitarian crisis becomes a very useful tool. Now, in the war against drug trafficking and abuse, we have done so well. Like in Lagos State now, I came in November, and by December we were able to seize 12,000 tons of cannabis that came in from the West Coast. That is how they are seizing from the seas, that is how they are seizing from the airport, and that's how they are seizing on the land. I was at Akure before. I burnt over 30 hectares and acres of cannabis sativa farms. So we are working on that. Now, we also know as a fact that the war does not end with mopping up the supply. Because, as you rightly said, when it becomes scarce, the daredevils will look for it even under the sea. So we have decided, the chairman, being a proactive man, approached Mr. President, and war against drug abuse solely has been launched in Nigeria by the commander-in-chief himself, the president of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, June 26 last year. We are planning to launch our own in Lagos because after Abuja, Lagos is the next. It's a center of excellence.
That's right.
And the land of aquatic beauty.
Yeah, that's right.
So we are going to, we're having a collaboration with the First Lady. And we're going to launch war against drug abuse. What is it all about? It's about sensitization. From the federal to the states, to the local government, to the communities, to the families. We have realized that families is failing. So we need to re-engineer their mind towards some of these issues. So what you know is what you talk about. You can be a mentor to somebody because you know something. Nemo that quod non habet is a Lager term. You don't give what you don't have. So we want to have Y brigades from down, Y ambassadors, and so on and so forth. We have been paying advocacy visits to the traditional rulers, to prominent men in town, and so on and so forth. So what we want to do is to carry that campaign down. Let everybody know the consequences of drug abuse. Let everybody know the signs and symptoms you will see in your child, in your ward, and you will know that he's going the other way. Let everybody know that if you see something, you should say something. If a drug trafficker is behind your house selling, and you refuse to say so, one day your child will be infected. If you say, I'm a big guy, what am I going to do with all this? One day you fly on the air and they will hijack the plane. Yes. On the land, they will pick you up. So all of us are afraid. I heard when you said it earlier. The Nigeria we desire is the Nigeria where we can close our eyes and traverse the nation in safety and in peace. Right. But these days, we find it difficult to travel because crime and drugs has been linked together in a very magnificent way. Violent crimes cannot happen unless somebody is under the influence of something that is controlling him or her. Now tell me, take for example, Owo incident. How can a human being enter a church on a Sunday and kill more than 40 as reported? The person is definitely not in his right mind. How can somebody kidnap you and then use knife and cut your throat like a goat? It's because it's under the influence. We have seized several quantities of drugs going to the insurgents. The army, after eliminating and taking over some, recovers large chunks of drugs. My chairman chief executive has consistently said that all Nigerians must put hand on deck. Exactly. We are not saying that every crime is caused by drug, but we are saying that the drug in you will make you, will predispose you.
Some sort of motivation.
Yes. I remember something, just drinking of beer. So we lost a brother, and one of my uncles, in order to drown the pain, took too much beer again. So he just kept on crying. I said, we know that this cry is no longer the cry for the dead person. It is now a cry because of some other influence. Interesting. So we had to quietly lead him into the room to lie down before he starts doing some other things. So drugs and crime are interwoven. You go to Colombia, go to Mexico, that's right. US, the cartels.
Indeed. It's such a big business, and I'm sure we're going to get to that. Very soon we'll be going on break, but that is not after you quickly take we take your response on this. I want you to speak further to speak to the theme of this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, which of course you are started already. What are these challenges? Okay, what are these challenges? And how do they relate to health and humanitarian crisis?
Yeah, it's in diverse form. You just asked a question. Somebody who genuinely needs drugs for, how does he go get it? So you find out that addressing the drug challenge in health, when you are not with your health, you need certain drugs. But because of the misuse and the abuse, it becomes so scarce. How will such a person gain access to drugs for his life? Okay. Then secondly, in this world now, you can see that there's a lot of displaced persons. The UN will be talking about Ukraine and other places, but I will talk about Nigeria. Yeah. That's right. We are displaced in Goza. Yeah. We are displaced in Borno. We are displaced in Enugu. We are displaced in some other places. And these people are in IDP camps. How do they access when we are blocking these ones from being abused? Exactly. And then again, the challenge again is that in such displaced persons, they are prone to be convinced either to use drugs, hard drugs, or to sell same. Yeah. Because they can use the young ones to sell so that they can get a little stipend to eat. They can sell it to the other people, the older ones, to convincing them that it will drown and remove the pains they are passing through. So these are the challenges we're looking at in this year's program. How do we traverse it? How will we be able to make sure that those who are genuinely in need of drugs that are controlled get it? And that is why we speak to the pharmacists. We speak to the community pharmacists.
The pharmacists are the main stakeholders here.
Exactly. They are more important now in this controlled substance issue than the National Association of Patent Medicine Dealers, who are permitted only to sell over-the-counter drugs. So it is these pharmacies that we are talking to. Before you sell your drug, let there be a prescription. The law is that you should keep a poison box where you put the controlled drugs. You display it so that if we come, we'll see it. If NAFDAC comes, they'll see it. If Pharmaceutical Council comes, they'll see it. Then you will have a register where you dispense.
Such drugs?
Yes. And the quantity you have given out, and the date, and the reference number. This will control it, and people can easily. And we're also agitating and calling on Nigerian government to make it a point of law that before you buy any drug at all, even over the counter, let there be a prescription.
Let there be a prescription. We have to go on a short break, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what you just said now is what is obtainable in other clients. You can't just walk into any pharmacy and just pick a drug. Okay.
We have to continue. Yes, I'm really looking at that aspect. It said that maybe we will get to a stage whereby an average Nigerian will buy his or our drug with prescription. I just hope we get there. We still have our guest in the studio. With us is the State Commander, NDLEA, Lagos. Welcome back. We still have in the studio with us the Lagos State Commander of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in the person of Barrister Kalis Alumona. Thank you for all the information that you have been dishing out. Now, I did say off camera that I'm going to shake one thing. Recently, you made a courtesy visit to the former chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Worker. That this was, according to your spokesman, it was in the bid, your partnership between the NDLEA and the NURTW. That was, and according to him, he said the Lagos Command is having the war against drug, abuse and illicit trafficking. That it would. The partnership would, I'm trying to bring out your spokesman's statement now. Yeah. He said it's going to be more effective. The fight against drug abuse and illicit trafficking will be more effective with this collaboration. Now, as at that time, when the announcement came up, the social media went agog. Why? A lot of Lagosians were a bit skeptical about it for one reason or the other. My question to you first off, why him?
That's a very good question, and I like it. It didn't shake the table.
All right.
You see, NDLEA cannot do the work alone.
Okay.
We synergize with the military and other
stakeholders,
paramilitary organizations and stakeholders. And one of the major stakeholders we have in the war against drug abuse is the National Union of Road Transport Workers. You cannot remove it.
No doubt about that.
Your life is in their hand. They are the people that will convey thousands of people daily on the road. Majority of them are on drugs. Majority of them convey these drugs. They don't go through the air. They go through the land. Who can talk to this group of people for me? It is the chairman of the
TW.
That is what is called strategic engagement.
Do you understand? You have to. He's a critical stakeholder. When you capture him, he will be able to talk to his people. When I want to go on a war against drug abuse campaign, I say, Chairman, I need these people. He will talk and they will come. I cannot go and tell them to come. I need a pointsman, and he is that man. I don't know his personal lifestyle, but while I was trying to decorate him, he told me, I neither smoke nor drink since I was born.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's good that Lagosians must listen to
very
this.
Clearly. Because I told him, this is a big thing we're giving to you. Ambassador of war against drug abuse. Not ambassador of NDLEA.
Okay.
Ambassador of war against drug abuse.
Okay.
What's NDLEA?
In the parks, different type of drinks are sold, mixtures. Do you know the one they call scoochies?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you about it. Mixture of tramadol, raffinol, Indian hemp water. They don't call it Indian hemp again. Indians say if you call it Nigerian hemp. So it is now cannabis sativa. So they don't call it Indian hemp. They put everything and then use Ribena and lace it.
Okay, I think I saw something like that
Do you
on
understand?
social media.
Yes. They put this codeine cough syrup to sweeten it. So when you are drinking it, you don't know. So these men in our parks, they are the touts, they are the loaders, they are the drivers. They take all these things. Who will bail the cat for me? Their chairman.
The chairman.
So you don't do something out of haste. I don't know the chairman before. I came into Lagos in November, although I'm a Lagosian by every, I studied at Unilag and all that. Now, but having worked here as a state commander, I have seen the accidents we see on the road. I collaborate with the FRSC. The accidents on the road is caused by drugs. You test them, you see traces of loads of drugs in them. So who do you talk to? You talk to the man who has their ears. As I was there with all my rank, when I came, some of them did not stand. But as soon as the chairman came, Babake, everybody stood up. Until he sat down, they didn't sit. He had to tell them to sit down. So these are the people we are looking for. And we are thinking about Lagos as a state free of drug abuse, free of thuggery, free of political violence. We are into the era of politics. Who will talk to these boys to take it easy? That's the people we're looking for. Because at the end of the day, health matters. Humanitarian crisis must be prevented.
So how effective has that been?
We have just written to him that immediately after now we need to have a seminar with his people. Now, you don't forget that he had a problem with...
Yeah, he is now the chairman of the Lagos State parks, motor parks.
Good. So I have on
which
that
is still on
the same page.
Pedestal.
So I know that very soon he will organize that. NTA will definitely be called in. Because we want to see him do something to prove that he is really
a worthy
ambassador of war against drug abuse. And I believe he will do something that will shock Lagosians and my headquarters too.
Indeed. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you, the State Commander.
I'm sure our viewers will be happy I asked that question.
This is a good one.
Yes.
Honestly, I would wish there is more of such strategic engagement.
Yes.
Very, very important. And
Yes.
I think we need to commend NDLA for that drive.
Yes.
Now, I want to take our attention a little away from, yes, we have always known that hard drugs are certainly illegal, not good, destructive to whoever is consuming it and all of that, and we can see all of that. But let's just give this another thought. Information has it that today, this one of the hard drugs, which is the one we'll be talking about much about, cannabis sativa, the marijuana, has capacity to generate huge foreign exchange because it has commercial value and for the productive use, even in medicine. That's another angle to it. In fact, figure has it that by 2025, I hope you're following me, sir. By 2025, the global medical marijuana market will be worth $145 billion. And this is one plant that is grown widely in Nigeria. And to add to that, we also saw in recent times the efforts of the notable personalities like the governor of Ondo State pushing out this. Even Omoyele Showore of Sahara Reporter. Sir, don't you think we are leaving money on the table? Why are we not tapping into this good money?
Thank you very much. I happen to have been in Ondo State, and we had this discussion with His Excellency Arakuri. And I was going to ask him for money for exhibit burning, because what we do when we seize large chunks, we get a court order and then we burn it, either by incineration or public and so on. People will come and see. So he looked at me and said, Kalis, you are my learned friend. I will not give you money to burn money.
Good one. Good one.
I said, fine. But what we have to look into is, the people trading in drugs, they're making money. They are flamboyant. We love them because they can spend. We have gone out I will talk about that if you have that question, because you said the how far and some challenges we are getting. Now,
Yes.
if you give me that question later.
Sure.
Now, most of these big boys into drugs, they affect the lives of their community, even more than government.
Definitely.
They give people scholarships, they do this, they do that, because they make this money. But you know that this money is not a genuine money. This money has taken some lives. It has caused some children to lose their parents. It has caused a lot of damage, as we're seeing. But we say, this is their money. It's not good. Now, the issue of cannabis sativa being a money-reeling machine is a fact. But let us look at Nigeria in our context.
Okay.
We have a very simple law now to maintain don't abuse drug and don't trade. If we now unban cannabis without any check, what do you think will happen?
Certainly there have to be control measures.
Which control measures are you going to put in place? Now it is totally banned. We're fighting tooth and nail to see if we can come out of it. Let me give you an idea. A man cultivates a farm. You say, I have approved for you to cultivate this farm. Now, how do you prevent him? It's the same thing with chemicals. We have a chemical monitoring. You grant a chemical license to a pharmacist to use it for so and so, or to distribute it to some other guys to produce genuine materials and drugs. But the money those people will pay will not be as money as the person who wants to make methamphetamine, ice, so he will divert that chemical to that guy who will pay him like 100 million instead of giving it to the man who wants genuine.
It has a genuine purpose for it.
Who will give only 20 million. Now it's our duty to start tracking. That's why I say when you dispense, write it, let's see where you dispense it. Okay, now we look into the issue of cannabis again. Do we prefer the health of Nigerians more, or do we prefer the money that may likely come? And don't forget, it's not the whole cannabis they sell. They extract.
That's right.
But that medicinal one they extract is minute. The one Nigeria grows, the tetrahydrocannabinol, we call it THC, is much more than that. And it's much more powerful than most of the ones you get outside. So, have we even got a company that will start doing this testosterone about extracting the real one? We haven't. We just say, unban it. Unfortunately, as I said, we are under the Convention of the United Nations. And we have domesticated this law as a federal law. In fact, no other agency is supposed to do anything about drug law without NDLEA. Definitely. If you make the arrest, you must transfer. You cannot go to prosecute.
Definitely.
Now, if therefore it's a federal law, it is only the federation that you can push. I did ask His Excellency, send in a bill to the National Assembly. If it goes through, we don't have any problem. We're only enforcers. We are only enforcers. But what we must warn, in the 90s and 80s, Nigeria was only a transit nation for drugs.
Yeah.
They were warned, if it continues being a transit nation, and you continue blocking it from going out because some interests are there, Nigeria will soon become a user nation. Now Nigeria has become a user nation. And you are seeing the effects in the kidnapping, in the killings, in the bombings, in the insurgency, in everything. You have seen Okada riders, just because you did not pay something, they will kill you and burn you. We have seen all this. It is under the influence of drugs. And Nigeria has now even proceeded from being a consumer nation to become producer nation.
A producer nation.
If we unban some of these things because of the money we're expecting, can we carry it? It's a big question.
So are you talking about looking at the pros and the cons?
The balancing of the equation.
State Commander, sir, I just would like to quickly add it. I asked that question, deliberately, because I'm looking at if this kind of venture is working in other climes. In fact, we are privy to the information on the fact that the same governor of Ondo State at some point traveled to Thailand, yes. And he went there with some of your men as well.
With the chairman himself.
So if something is working elsewhere and it's generating them revenue, certainly there are control measures in place there.
Is it not possible that we exploit those?
Yes, that is what we should start doing. I just watched one of these presidential aspirants. He went to Egypt to learn how they make
their power.
Now let us do that. But don't forget, most of those countries that partially lifted it, many of them are about to close it down because it's causing confusion.
More harm.
Yes. It's causing more harm. But then we can exploit it actually. But let us put the cat behind the horse. Not the horse behind the cat. Let us send out.
Let's explore first.
Exploit. Write a genuine paper. Present a bill before the National Assembly. I'm sure that they are honorable men. And they will look into it critically. And Mr. President will look at it with favor. Because we need foreign exchange.
Definitely.
Certainly.
I even heard that Ghana, the money they are making from the Canadian loud that comes there, is much. We know all those things, but what is the consequences? If you go to party now, everybody is bubbling, and you are not bubbling. You say, take something and boost up, all right? You will take it. Your next person may take it. But the two of you, your composition are not the same.
Definitely.
So you can start misbehaving. And when the other one is still there. When we were in university, we went to a party, and one of our friends had a girlfriend. That girl drank 9 bottles of big stout. Stout was better then. And this boy took only 2, but it was the girl that escorted the boy home. So we were wondering.
I just interesting, State Commander. Let's just take you on this one that you wanted to bring on board initially. Yeah, you said we're looking at the journey so far, and we know that your agency, NDLEA, has been in the saddle for a very long time.
Yes.
It's just that we're seeing new dimension to it with the man at the helms of affairs now, which of course is reflecting in what we're seeing from what you're saying. But what are the challenges that militating against your agencies within this war?
There's a whole lot of faith, but we're going to be a little bit diplomatic.
Okay.
Now we have the enemies from within. We have the enemies from without. Okay.
That is diplomacy, really.
Yeah. Now,
he's talking about enemies from within and without.
I can tell you, we get that. We understand what you're going.
I sent my boys out to Lagos Island, Petty.
Okay.
There's a large hunk of exhibit we wanted to pick. And they went there, seized these exhibits, and made an arrest. Then some of the other barons decided to go and collect their hoodlums. And they started shooting us as if it's a Rambo film. Yes. They started shooting. The video was...
I'm sure people who could record then were not around. Otherwise, would have seen that on social media.
It was there. It was there. They posted it. So we came out. We went to Alabarago. The same attack. We went to, I don't know if you know Akala in Munshi.
Yeah.
It's another hub.
Yeah.
And so many other places. Those are the challenges. You go to Oshun, they attacked our boys there. They have been attacking and killing. So this is a major challenge. That is why WADA is so important. People should know that though this thing gives money, it brings about death. So say something when you see something. Now, that is one challenge. The society understanding what we're doing. That what we're doing is a humanitarian job. We are not after the good ones. We're after the bad boys who will influence your children, who will steal your things, who will kill you. Somebody was telling a story that they were just coming somewhere. Some group of boys stopped them. A guy was with, I think it was an iPhone. They said, bring money. The guy said, I don't have money. He said, bring phone. He said, you know, bring phone. Even the police in the car, there was a policeman there. They said, please, now let's go. The people say, if you don't bring money, we'll do something bad here now. Policeman came down and went away because he didn't, even if he had a gun, what will you do?
Will you start shooting?
Yes. And they were able to collect money. And they just collect. So a time is now coming. You're driving your car, they'll stop you, bring money. If you don't bring, they'll kill you. It's drugs. So these are the challenges we're facing. Then again, we face the challenges of logistics. Of course, The leadership of General Abuba Marwa has brought new life to NDLA. Promotions came. He promoted over 3,500 at one go because it was stagnated for over 10 years. Yours truly had that portion.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
The portion that he affected me by giving me the promotion and backdating it to when it should be over 10 years ago. Now everybody is feeling okay. Logistic-wise, he's trying his best. He's moving here and there, making new contacts, opening new frontiers, creating new stakeholders. Promises of good things are there. The government of President Muhammad Buhari is also listening to him, and we're getting what we need.
Okay, quickly, because we will soon wrap up this segment of the show. The NDLEA is not so conspicuous like the police force, for instance. When I talk about not so conspicuous, I talk about if someone wants to report a drug-related incident to your office, many may not even know where to go or what to do, which line to call. You know, you have just said if you see something, say something. Like we have the police, you know, everywhere. We have, when you have rape issues, domestic violence, we have toll-free numbers that you can call. Why do we not have all of this with the NDLEA? Is it a deliberate strategy to have your offices not so conspicuous?
Well,
or is there a toll-free number or a number that
we have a toll-free number in the headquarters, Abuja. We are trying to create our own. We're working on it.
In Lagos here?
Yes.
Okay.
Before we launch the WADA, that must be in place,
okay,
so that you can let us know. We're also on the threshold of trying to put our officers in every local government, even if it's a liaison officer, so that if you see anything, you know that in each local government there is an NDLEA officer. Now we were very few in number, but General Marwa came in and we employed 5,000 not ago. So our number is increasing. I'm sure he has been given another approval for some other one.
Okay, I would like you to tell the viewers now, you have been talking about see something, say something, do not keep quiet. The fear of an average Nigerian outside there is the fear of speaking up and being endangered. Now, what assurance can you give to that whistleblower outside there?
Yes, your confidentiality is guaranteed. I can give out my own number. You call me direct, your situation, so many has been calling. So many estates that are being overrun by drugs, they'll get my number and call. We'll have to send people, especially Lekki Axis. And this is a vehicle.
This is Victoria Island, yes.
So we have been going there, but we need to have that hot number so that you can call in and we put a dedicated officer on it. Our office is, we are still at number 4 Shore Road, and we are now at number 5 Bagada Phase 2.
Okay.
Just beside there, you know. We came into Lagos because the man has given us a mandate and has given us the backing. So as of today, from November till now, we have seized over 57,000 kilograms of hard drugs, 12,000 of which is psychotropic substances. You know, we have at one go seized 188 cartons of tramadol 225 from somebody. 188 and
from one person?
Yes, and one carton, I won't tell you loudly, about 20 million. So you can imagine. So we are also endangered. Those are some of our challenges. Because we need the protection to do what we are going to do. But we're happy that our man is behind us.
Okay. We have to
interesting. Yes, we have to let you go. But honestly, I just have to commend the NDLEA once more time for this strategic engagement that you're doing. Well, I think because I know that the best way to tackle problem is to be preemptive, preventive, and proactive rather than being reactive. And that's part of what you're doing. So we say kudos to what you do.
Thank you very much.
We will let you go, but on this note, we know funding is everywhere is a great issue. Apart from government, how do you get your funding? In 10 seconds.
Yeah, as quickly as you can.
We get our funding through stakeholders. And our chairman is a man of the people. So the mention of his name opens door for us.
All right, thank you so much.
We do it.
Thank you so much.
And we call on Nigerians. Let all of us put our hands on this plow. Remove drugs from Nigeria and remove unnecessary criminal and security challenges we have. Thank you very much.
It's been very, very exciting, interesting, informative talking to the Lagos State Commander, NDLEA. And he is no other person than Barrister Kalis Alumona. We have been talking about war against the drug abuse and illicit trafficking of drugs in Lagos and in Nigeria as a whole. Thank you very much for being our guest this morning.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, and we say a big thank you to NDLEA for the work they are doing. We can only encourage you to continue to do what you know how